Hi everyone, welcome to another video. Today I wanted to primarily discuss about how to install, configure and run over the latest version of Ubuntu. That is as of the date of this video, it is 23.04. The main reason was there are a couple of friends and colleagues who have reached out to me and they wanted to essentially try Ubuntu on their own personal computers, and most of them are already running Windows 11 Pro. So Windows 11 Pro, as most of you might already aware, it comes with Hyper-V, and again, if you don't have Win 11 Pro, if you only have home edition of Windows, or if you are on another platform like Linux, then you can also use VirtualBox or VMware Workstation. All of them are good solutions, but I am showing this specific demo primarily for UEFI based install. The UEFI based install, in Linux, it is a problem with all the other vendors as well, but with especially with Hyper-V, certain distributions are supported right out of the box. For example, Ubuntu is supported right out of the box. RHEL, Rocky, Alma, all of those distributions I have tested myself personally using um, uh, uh, Hyper-V and UEFI, and I was able to successfully install and boot all of them. As you can see in my virtual machine list, you can see that I have installed RHEL different versions, Rocky different versions, and I have also installed Alma, and this is also on UEFI. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, before we begin, I hope everybody understands the concept of virtual machines. Virtual machines are essentially computers within computers, and you are essentially playing with the sandbox. So, there are several videos explaining virtual machines in depth, and it is not a new concept. I personally, I've been using virtual machines since 2005, when Microsoft released Microsoft Virtual PC. So back then we had these Visual Basic applications, that sometimes when we installed a corrupted Windows operating system, so we were forced to use Microsoft Virtual PC to install and test those applications. And I had also, over the course of time, just for general internet hygiene and safety, I started using Microsoft Virtual PC for browsing the internet, and I would keep my work stuff on the host machine, and anything that I want to do, for example, sometimes you would be going to some Java side, you will be installing Oracle Java, and you will have to tamper the path variables and whatnot. If I mess up the path variables and other system settings in my work PC, it might prevent my applications that are needed to do my work to start. It might prevent them from starting. It might corrupt certain things, certain functionalities might not work. So to prevent all of those, I had always been using virtual machines for doing personal projects, especially back then it was a big deal that if you install certain newer versions of Java, my applications that I was primarily working on at that time would refuse to start because of the date function. I don't remember exactly what method they have deprecated and removed, but this is like you know uh, you know 10 12 years back, so I don't remember exactly, but basically to test anything you had to install the latest version of the Java in the virtual machine, and you can play around with it, explore the new functionalities and whatnot. However, in the host machine I cannot touch anything. If I change a path variable, if I change a Java virtual machine setting, the application that I used to work on back then, it wouldn't start. Anyways, coming back to the main topic today. Today what we will be doing is we will be downloading the installation media by visiting the Ubuntu website, and we will be essentially uh, installing and setting up the virtual machine step by step using um, Hyper-V with UEFI boot. I want to emphasize here the main reason why you might want to use UEFI is if you are using enterprise like setting, like where you needed a trusted handover between the underlying hardware and the operating system. Only then it makes sense to use UEFI. If you are in a home environment where you don't really care about that much of a stuff, UEFI is not really for you. The main reason is if you want to migrate the VM from one host to another host, enabling UEFI sometimes messes up. So if you are domain joined in a domain joined PC, that is not an issue with respect to Hyper-V. But if you are on a personal PC like me, you will have to back up the host hardware key, and there is a huge set of steps that you need to follow to enable the same TPM to work with another host. Anyways, coming back to the main topic once again, I'm going to ubuntu.com and I'm going to hit download right here. And um, there are two flavors of Linux, as you can see, Ubuntu desktop and Ubuntu server. Both of them are same essentially, but Ubuntu desktop has certain default packages selected, whereas server, since you want to reduce the attack surface, uh, you don't have all those packages selected by default. Both are essentially same kernel, same OS. Unlike Windows, you have a slightly older kernel that is more stable on the server OS, and the consumer operating system is completely different. However, on Ubuntu, it is one and the same. The kernel is same, the packages are same. You are just calling it server, but essentially it's the same OS. So for this video we will use Ubuntu desktop, and I'll let it download for a while. This is the latest version, so I'll use the sorry, this is the latest version. So Ubuntu offers two flavors, one is LTS, long-term support, and the other one is the latest and greatest, that they do the rolling release. Rolling release support, goes out sooner than the LTS version. LTS version is typically supported for 5 years for the standard support, and there is an extended support during which you only get security updates. But if you are a home user, you wouldn't have any issues. You will be upgrading it to the latest version anyways. This Okay, it is slightly slower. All right, for purposes of this video, let me just skip ahead and wait until once the download is completed, we will resume. All right. Now that we have downloaded the installation media, let's go ahead and create a new virtual machine. Please note that in Windows, we also have a quick create, which will also download the operating system media by itself and then do it. I don't like to do so. I prefer to manually download the media, but if you want it to be simple, you can use that quick create option. It will automatically download the media for you and it will install it. What I'm doing is I'm just placing this virtual machine in a temporary folder so that I can delete it once I'm done recording this video. I'm going to essentially trash this virtual machine. So simply delete Ubuntu UEFI. Right. It's fine. And if you want to use UEFI, you have to select Gen 2. Again, Gen 1 is the older version of virtualization. If you have a 32-bit version of some operating system that you want to run, for example, if you want to run older Windows 95, Windows 98, etc., you have to use Gen 1. However, since we are using the Ubuntu latest version, it is going to be a 64-bit operating system here. All right. So I'm going to let it keep 4096 MB memory. That's more than enough for the base version of the operating system and whatever GUI that Ubuntu is going to install. 4096 megabytes is more than enough for it. So network, I am going to configure it with my outbound switch. Yeah, this is fine. 127 gigs is more than enough. Actually, even 16 gigs is more than enough. And I'm going to point to the operating system image that we had just downloaded rather than using that from the virtual machine. This VM, I have shut it down, so it will not be able to find it. That's why it is struggling a little bit. What I should have done is I should have put the path right here, C drive slash whatever, and then should have selected. Okay, not bad. Ubuntu, finish. All right, it hasn't started that yet, so we have to make some changes. First and foremost, you have to select the template as open source shielded VM or this thing. All right. We will be enabling TPM. Okay, secure boot is enabled. That's the whole thing that we are trying to do here. We are trying to essentially, test the UEFI boot here. Checkpoints, I'm disabling automatic checkpoints. I'll enable the checkpoints, after the operating system is installed. Right now, there is no point in taking a checkpoint because there is nothing there. It will simply slow down the install. Okay. If we have done this correctly, we should see an Ubuntu boot message. We are not getting it. We should have selected the other one. Yeah, I think we should have selected Microsoft Certification Authority. All right, let me quickly trash this VM. Uh, Turn it off, delete. All right, let's create a new virtual machine. All right, let's just delete this. Second generation memory is this, that's fine. Outbound switch, this 128 gigs is fine. Install from this thing, next, finish. Again, the same settings, we have to change it. Firmware, secure boot, Microsoft UEFI, enable TPM. What I would suggest is before enabling the TPM, you try the template and see if the operating system boots, and then enable TPM. Once you enable TPM, what it does is it internally generates that key, and you cannot, change the template. All right, all of this is fine. Checkpoints, I'm just using this thing is fine. Connect, start. Yeah, it started right up. All right, this is how it should be. It should have done the first time. Okay, while this is loading, I just wanted to quickly, explain few concepts. First of all, what is UEFI? UEFI stands for Unified Extensible Firmware Interface, and there is a major difference between how a traditional MBR based boot works and how UEFI works on a computer. The TLDR version of this is UEFI firmware is stored on a separate partition of the main storage drive, and UEFI supports more bells and whistles and stuff, like it can support a larger volume. In MBR, the thing is, the execution stops jumps to a specific sector in the partition, and it is supposed to have the instructions on how to proceed. And it's all messy. It was MBR standard was set up a long time back, and it is not really set up with security and modern operating systems in mind. So that's why, even Linux, when you run it in an enterprise setting, it needs a UEFI, so that the operating system knows that it is booting from a trusted source, and and the BIOS knows that, okay, I'm handing over the control to a system that I recognize, system signature that I recognize, and there is no man in the middle, there is no rootkit that is sitting between the BIOS and the OS, intercepting the traffic and whatnot. Again, I am not an expert in UEFI security, the related stuff, and there are plenty of videos. To be honest, I got confused several times, and and then I'm just explaining based on what I understand, what my understanding of how it is supposed to work, etc. In I, and also, Ubuntu also supports logical volume manager, and LVM is a vast topic. Learn Linux TV has done a very good video, even though it's a bit old at this point. He has done a very decent video about LVM. If possible, I'll make a video, but for the intents of this, I think we wanted to see what a UEFI is, and second of all, what is a TPM. TPM stands for Trusted Platform Module, and along with a secure boot, a TPM enables a generation of a cryptographic key that is used to encrypt sensitive data, and you can ask Linux to encrypt your LVM as well. That way, even if your underlying VMDK file, your virtual machine hard disk file is stolen, no one can decrypt and steal the data. This is very helpful when you are running it on a public cloud like AWS or Azure, where you are okay with running your workload on the server, but you, in case if AWS or Azure gets compromised, you don't want your sensitive data to be stolen. So that's where this TPM plus LVM comes into play. Again, LVM we will see in a larger conversation. For now, I'm just going through the steps. As you can see, you'll be selecting your language. I am selecting English because that's I mean, even though that's not my first language. All right, English. US keyboard is fine. Use wired connection is fine. Normal installation is fine. You also want to select these two. If in case you want to install it on a physical hardware instead of a VM like I'm doing, you want to select these two options. And I can, I'm not going to select encrypt. All right, feature erase device is fine. Blah blah blah. All right, this is fine. And my name is Dinesh. Username is fine. I'm going to use a super secret password. Really? This might be helpful if you want to use Active Directory based login instead of standalone logins. But anyways, I don't have an AD service running right now, so it's fine. We will simply use it under dark mode and let it run. And if you click on this icon right here, it will show the progress of what command it is running, unlike Windows where it doesn't show us anything, it doesn't show us what it is doing, etc. I'm going to, fast forward this step because, there is nothing interesting going on right now other than some files getting copied from the installation media into the main partition that it had just created. So I'm going to skip forward all these steps and let the um, uh, like you know uh, installation welcome screen go, All right, it has finished installing. All right, let's restart it. One thing that you might want to do is make sure that you're ejecting the drive. It automatically ejects it. If in case the ISO image is still mounted, you might have to manually reboot it, manually unmount it, sorry, before the rebooting. Otherwise, it will again go through the setup sequence, and it might start using the ISO instead of the volume that it has just created. I don't know why it is running the file system consistency check right now, but yeah, it's fine. I am installing it on my main NVMe drive, so it should not take much time to complete. Let's see how much the hard disk is being used. I mean, it's not bad, it's just okay, it's ready. All right, using my super secret password, I'm able to log in. And as you might see, the display is little bit skewed. There is a way in which you can, fix this thing. Probably I'll explain that in another video. But bottom line is it is up and running. It's connecting to the internet and it is running on an UEFI partition. So let's just install gparted. Gparted is the Ubuntu equivalent of Windows Disk Manager utility. You can use that to see the various partitions that are currently there in the system. All right, it is using UEFI boot, and as you can see, we have installed it using a LVM. Again, Learn Linux TV has done a very detailed video about Linux LVM. If possible, I don't think I would have much to add to it, but if something has changed, or if one thing that I always wanted to showcase is, how you can merge different devices into a single LVM, and you can show it on the UI. Maybe I'll make a video about it. It's very interesting that, let's say that you have one hard disk, and you have and it is running out of space, and it is a reliable media, and there is no issue as such as to, with the device being, having reached its end of life or anything. It's you're just running out of space, and you need additional space added to that ASAP. So if you have configured your root volume as LVM, all you can do is, you can simply pop in an additional hard drive, and you can simply create a partition and add it to the same LVM group, and that's it. You will instantly get that additional hard disk space added to your main root drive. Maybe that is something that I can showcase. I don't know if Learn Linux TV had already done that. I'll go back and watch that video again. It's been a while since I have watched his video. He had made that video, I think, 2 or 3 years back. Anyways, I'll add the link to the video that he had created in my description. You can go and say hi on my behalf to him. But so basically, right now I'm running an update. So even though we have downloaded the media directly from the Canonical website, it doesn't mean that all the packages on the installation media are up to date. They update the media maybe every quarter or something, but they release the package updates, every week or so. So as you can see, we had to download 500 megabytes worth of updates just on top of whatever we had downloaded for the media to set this up and running. All right, so I'll let it finish, and that's all I have for today. And thanks for watching this video. See you in the next one. Bye.